Have you ever looked at someone who grew up in the 1970s and thought, why are they built different? And why do they always start every story with "back in my day," like they're opening a history book? Well, today, we're diving into the psychology of 70s kids. The generation that survived without smartphones, drank water from the garden hose, rode bikes with no helmets, and somehow turned out shockingly stable. Let's unpack why. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're time traveling to the 1970s, a decade of disco, freedom, questionable fashion choices, and parents who believe two things. 1. Kids will survive anything. 2. And if they don't, well, maybe they shouldn't have been climbing that tree anyway. So what shaped the psychology of people who grew up in this wild, wonderful era? Let's break it down. Gamma 1. Independence was their default setting. In the 70s, if you told your parents you were going out, they'd say, "Okay, be home before dark." And that was it. Zero tracking, zero notifications, zero panic. This created a generation that learned problem solving the hard way. Got lost? Find your way back. Bike chain broke? Figure it out. Fell down? Get up. There's no ER visit for that scrape. This built strong independence and resilience, which is why 70s kids are still the ones who say things like, "Relax, it's not that deep." Or 2, they experienced real boredom, and it made them creative. In the 70s, entertainment options were go outside, read a book, stare at the ceiling. That's it. No TikTok, no Netflix, no 8-hour YouTube rabbit holes. And guess what? Real boredom forced creativity. People who grew up in the 70s often have great imagination, problem-solving skills, and the ability to stay entertained with almost nothing. Give a 70s kid a paperclip and a piece of tape, and suddenly they're building a helicopter. 3. Social skills. Came from actual socializing. No texting, no DMs, no seen messages. If you liked someone, you had to walk up and talk to them, face to face. Imagine the bravery. This taught 70s kids strong communication skills, confidence, and the ability to read emotions without emojis. Ask them about their crush. They'll tell you about passing handwritten notes and praying the wrong person didn't open them. 4. Discipline was very different. Let's be honest, 70s parenting was not soft. It was the era of, because I said so. Do it or else. And the wooden spoon in the kitchen drawer that everyone feared. This shaped a generation that respects authority, but also knows how to keep their head down, get things done, and not argue over every small thing. They're the ones at work who say, "We don't need 11 meetings, just tell me what to do." 5. They grew up with limited resources, which built gratitude. Most things weren't instant or disposable. You wanted clothes. You waited. You wanted new music. You saved money. You wanted information. You asked the one friend whose dad had an encyclopedia set. People who grew up in the 70s appreciate things more because they had to earn them, fix them, or wait for them. That's why they'll use the same kitchen appliance for 20 years and say, "It still works fine." 6. They understand community better than most generations. Kids in the 70s grew up playing outside with every child in the neighborhood. There was no social anxiety, because you had no choice but to socialize with whoever was there. This built a strong sense of belonging and community. They know their neighbors, they talk to strangers, and they can strike up a conversation anywhere. Supermarket, bus stop, dentist's office, you name it. 7. They experienced life without constant pressure. In the 70s, nobody cared if you didn't look perfect. You could have messy hair, unfiltered photos, and clothes that absolutely did not match. And no one would care. Kids lived in the moment instead of worrying about likes, followers, or fitting into unrealistic beauty standards. This gave them a grounded, relaxed mindset. Today, you'll see them laughing at trends and saying, "In my time, we just did what felt right." 8. Music and culture shaped their identity in a huge way. The 70s had soul, disco, rock, funk. Music that made you feel something. People grew up dancing, connecting, and bonding over real experiences, not algorithms. That created emotional depth, nostalgia, and identity that sticks with them even today. Play a 70s hit, and suddenly they're transported back to the best day of their life. 9. They lived slower, and it shows in their mindset. Life wasn't rushed, weekends were for rest. Dinner was cooked at home, people wrote letters. Phones were attached to the wall, not your face. This slower pace built patience, appreciation, and the ability to enjoy simple things. Ask someone from the 70s how to relax. They'll teach you better than any modern self-care influencer. 10. They developed strong emotional toughness. Without modern comfort, constant support, or digital escape, they had to face life head-on. They learned how to deal with disappointment, failure, and rejection without spiraling. This emotional strength is why many 70s kids remain level-headed even in stressful situations. They've seen worse. They've lived through disco fashion. Nothing scares them now. So there you have it, the psychology of people who grew up in the 1970s. A generation shaped by freedom, tough parenting, real experiences, and a world that was simpler. And maybe a little bit chaotic. Whether you're from that era or just curious, one thing's clear. 70s kids didn't just grow up. They survived, learned, adapted, and kept a sense of humor the whole way through. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. What's one thing you wish people today could experience from the 70s? Thanks for watching. And remember, stay curious, stay kind, and stay human.